This episode of Death on the Daily is brought to you in my PJs and also in association with my Reset for Rest, which is a 6-week group journey of online rest sanctuaries that happen every single week, where we're going to meditate, we're going to journal together, we're going to understand what your personalized blueprint for rest is, including rest practices that can support you in the busiest of days and taking 6 weeks of action towards them. If you want to find out when the next Reset for Rest is running and to join us, then head to the show notes and click the link. I would love to journey to a more restful 2025 with you. Hey, I'm Tanya Wilkinson, and this is Death on the Daily, bringing the conversation about death out of the shadows and into the mainstream. Because along with birth and change, if there's one thing that's going to happen to us all, then death is it. And we're going to explore how death actually shows up for us on the daily in a multitude of ways, and how when we allow ourselves to accept and to be with death, how it can teach us a whole heap about how to live this life well. There's a saying that always makes my eyes roll, and that's, you can sleep when you're dead. And I've had this said to me so many times, particularly early on in my career in my 20s when I was working in the music industry and trying to sneak off early, whether it was from a gig, from a festival, because my body and my inner battery was just saying, go home, it's time to sleep now. But the reality is, that saying is completely false, because if we don't get sleep, then we will be dead. But also, just in general throughout our life, when we're not honoring ourselves and our rest, it does damage our health, our well-being, as well as how we can show up for ourselves and for others, and how present we're able to be each and every day to just enjoy this life. So whenever anyone ever said that phrase to me, I always thought, nope, I'm going to sleep now, thanks. And took myself off to bed. And in today's episode, I wanted to really root us into rest, not just sleep, but actually more broadly into rest practices that can support us each and every day. And I'm wearing my PJs because this episode is coming out at the glorious period that I call betwixtmas, which is between Christmas and New Year. That time of year where things do truly, if you're not working, like I wasn't, throughout the whole of my corporate career, where things really truly do slow down. That one time of year where you're not getting emails, where you're not thinking, oh, I wonder what's happening in the office and what am I missing out on, or what disasters do I need to keep checking in on? But as well, it's that glorious time of year where time just seems to slow down and we don't know what day it is. It's just gorgeous. So whether it's at this beautiful time of year or at any time of year, I wanted to bring my rest essentials to you because actually rest is really, really crucial, and I will tell you why. So firstly, we live in a culture that glamorizes the hustle and grind. And this is conditioning that ultimately is keeping us being good workers and, not having time for just stillness, slowness. Ultimately, it's about maximizing productivity at all costs, including the cost of us and our health and our well-being. But also the other damaging factor of us not getting enough rest is that actually it stifles our creativity. Because to be creative, it requires space. It requires that time for daydreaming. Adrienne Marie Brown actually talks a lot about this, and I will link to some of her work in the show notes. And she talks about the fact that actually, that time to just sit and to daydream, to let our imagination wander, that is where new possibilities, new creativity, and that real true force of our creative nature as humans comes through. Plus, the other factor is, in today's day and age, we are juggling so much, from caregiving to work to everything else, all of our other responsibilities and passions in life. And the reality is, and particularly when we're caregiving, we need to be really rooting in and filling our cup up first. But obviously, if you're sort of running from one thing to the next, it can feel impossible. But today I'm here to tell you, and I'm not here to say, oh my goodness, you need to carve out 2 hours to do this. We're going to be looking at micro practices of rest that can also be so supportive in any day. And trust me on this, I know it, because when I was working the busiest, most fast-paced career, I was working in Formula One, I was jet setting all over the world. I had my own micro practices of rest that I brought in to days when I was working sort of, 16 hours and getting barely any sleep. Like, it is definitely possible. And I'm here to tell you how. And it's also important when we look at ourselves as humans of nature. I talk a lot about nature on Death on the Daily, and the reason being that I believe that when we reconnect to nature, that is an important pathway to reconnect us to the cycles of life and death, and ultimately to come back into wholeness as humans of nature. And if we look to nature, and right now, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and you're watching this just after the episode goes out, you will be in midwinter. And the winter period calls us into stillness and rest. When we look outside to nature, we see the trees are dormant, the plants have died back. They will return in spring, and there will be that high burst of growth and energy that spring and summer bring. But for now, they're resting, and that rest is just as crucial in winter as the spring and the summer that then come. And this really mirrors our own need to rest and regenerate. It supports us in moving through life on the daily, as well as when we're navigating those big transitions. And obviously with this podcast, that's rooted in death, I also say that if you're grieving, there's even more need to support yourself through rest, because actually that's a time when your body just really, really needs to rest, regenerate, and go inwards, and to have a little period of mini winter for yourself. When I have been through my own experiences of particularly losing my daughter, but also when I've been supporting others, there really is a call, I believe, to go into that little cocoon, to just rest, to regenerate, to allow for, all of your needs to be catered. If there's one time when you're going to really, really answer that call of exactly what you need, make sure that it's when you're grieving, but also I'd say make sure it's in any week of the year. So that's why rest is really, really crucial and important. And whether you're chilling at this betwixtmas period or you are tuning in at any other time of the year, here are my 5 rest essentials to get you started on a journey to prioritizing more rest, and by virtue of that, to prioritizing more for you. Firstly, we're going to look at micro rest practices, because rest can be, any and many things, anything basically that fills up your battery, that replenishes you. If you think, and what I'd invite you to do right now is just to connect inwards as I'm saying these words, and just tune in and visualize you've got an inner battery that's just right in the center of your chest. And just connect in and see, how full does my battery feel? Maybe you're halfway, need a little bit more boosting, but you're okay. Maybe you're feeling really like you're running on empty, or maybe you're feeling like you've recharged your battery up. Connecting into your inner battery is really, really powerful. And then we want to support you. And I'm starting with micro rest practices because I know, and particularly obviously for people who are caregivers, I support many parents, including new parents, as well as I support those who are caregivers. For example, some of my clients are caregivers for their wives, their husbands who have dementia or other things that basically means that they have to be sort of always there and always on, for a lot of the day, and also juggling that and work. So we root into the micro rest practices that can support you. And these can be as simple as, stepping away from your screens, taking a few minutes to pause and take a few deep breaths. It can be stepping outside, gazing out to the horizon of nature, and just allowing yourself in that moment to just ground and reconnect into you. It could be something creative. Dr Saundra Dalton Smith actually has identified 7 types of rest, and I will link her work in the show notes because it's absolutely incredible. And I will be doing an episode just on her 7 types of rest. And actually one of the types of rest is creative rest. So that includes, some hobbies that are creative. It also includes going out into nature for walks, but that walk could literally be 5 or 10 minutes around the block, or just out into, your garden, or to see a tree that lines the street. there are many, many types of rest. And actually the key is really tuning into that inner battery and understanding what fills up my battery instead of depleting me. Because if you think about it, and when we come on to another type of rest, which is physical rest, obviously sleep is a part of it, but also nourishing exercise that soothes and supports you and fills that battery up is also another type of rest. So for me, that's yoga. It's definitely not going to be doing a spin class or doing a marathon. Yes, that might give us endorphins, but that also will drain our energy out. But with these rest practices, it's really about making them personalized to you, because my best rest will never look like your best rest. So grab your journal and ask yourself, in any day, including in those busy days, what micro rest practices that I can do literally in minutes can and should I prioritize? And just before we move off from the micro practice of rest, also one of my favorite practices of rest that I wanted to share is this. It's a cup of tea and just having a mindful moment. I really connected into the fact that I just inhale food, drinks. I'm not present at all, particularly in busy days. That's something that I've been really, really aware of. So I make sure that I carve out time, even just for the first few sips of a tea, to not be looking at a screen, to not be doing something else, to savor it with all of my senses, to enjoy that mindful moment. Ideally to enjoy that whole cup of tea, but appreciating sometimes that's not possible, and that's okay. And the other thing is also making mealtime sacred. So, no screens, getting that sensory rest, stepping away from them, and really just enjoying the food and enjoying the company of those who I'm sitting with. So next up is creating your personalized rest rituals. Now, these might be ones that include those micro moments as well as longer and more nourishing ones. If you were to design your own rest sanctuary that was the most comfy, the most cozy, the most nourishing, that really truly did fill your battery back up to full, what would it be? I'd say grab your journal, sit with this question, curate that experience, because that personalized rest sanctuary is waiting for you. If only you bring your creativity to it and then carve out the time to do it. It's something that I've done, and actually I've rooted into my heritage. So I'm half Tamil Sri Lankan and my family's Hindu. And I have some beautiful gods and goddesses that my great aunt and my great uncle, that they left to me after they died. And I root into those to create a ritual that is basically connecting into them in a meditative ceremony that I just get very creative and just create as I go. So I'll go out for a nature walk. I'll find some beautiful, beautiful, if it's summer and spring, flowers. If it's winter, it might be some beautiful leaves from the ground, some sticks, whatever out there, or some evergreens. Whatever out there is really, really speaking to me, wherever my eye feels drawn. I bring them inside and I create a beautiful little restful ritual altar that I have the gods and goddesses on. I also have the nature, creation, that offering, as well as bringing any other offerings that I wish to. Maybe I might have a cup of tea, beautifully brewed. I just turn it into my own little ceremony. I'm not following the rule book. I'm just making it my own. And I really do believe that in rituals, there's real power. Yes, of course, let's seek inspiration from others, but we have so much creativity that is within. And when we connect into that through creating these rituals, actually, we connect into two other types of rest that are really, really powerful. One being spiritual rest, which is just how you connect into spirituality, whether that's obviously religious or spiritual beliefs, or just, nature can be your spirituality, purpose, your family can be your spirituality. And the other side of things is creative rest, as I've mentioned before. So getting creative with it, just allowing those creative juices to flow as you create something that feels truly, deeply nourishing. And my final thing that I would say, because I think that we are so often used to kind of being maybe a little bit cold, maybe a bit uncomfortable, This is really about creating the most comfy and the most cozy experience. So I've got my blanket here that's covering me. You know, get yourself really, truly comfy and cozy. Tuck yourself up in your most cozy and most warm corner of the house and make this your own. Third up is a really important one, and it is give yourself permission to be lazy. Because the reality is our culture has demonized laziness for whatever reason. And it's something, if you think about it, that we are told, you know, don't be lazy. Oh, she's so lazy. He's so lazy. They're so lazy. And that is really, really damaging, because actually laziness is an investment in us. You know, those times where you will just sit and just do nothing, where you slow that pace down, where you step away from everything to just, you know, loll about and be lazy. It's really, really supportive, and it gives you that crucial time where you're just being. You're being with what is. And in my experience as well, this can be really powerful time where it has given me space to really connect in with how I'm really feeling, which is something that when we're pelting through life, we so often don't ask ourselves, as well as giving myself crucial time to take those naps and to chill and to, you know, read the books and do whatever else, with the benefit of having a huge sort of expanse of time where I have no agenda and no to-do lists. And I appreciate that, obviously, and particularly I'm thinking about, again, parents. I can appreciate that you might be sitting here thinking, oh my God, when am I going to have time to just do nothing? But actually, you know, even in carving out 10, 15, 20 minutes, that is your designated, I'm stepping away from my phone, you know, I've got this me time to myself. Instead of how am I going to fill it, it's how can I just sit in it? So I'd say lean into the art of doing nothing. I guarantee it's going to bring you so much. And for me, actually, one of the byproducts of this is that creativity, really allowing that space for my intuition to flow, for me to really, really listen within and allow that creative force to flow in all areas of my life. So next up, we've got decluttering your energy. So this is one where you want to bring some gentle observation just to where your energy outputs are. Where in your life are you investing your energy? And obviously, some and a lot of them will be crucial. And we're not saying we're going to let them go. But I have a feeling that there might be some where you might observe, okay, I'm spending energy here when actually I'm doing something that doesn't light me up, perhaps no longer serves me. And actually, I'm ready to let that go. So a bit like, you know, at the start of the year where there's that momentum into spring of that spring clean. What can I declutter? What can I let go of? Let's do the same with your energy. Take a moment to reflect on what is draining your energy. Where are there those energy expenditures where actually you're not really getting the returns from them? You know, if I think about it, for me, it's my perfectionism. And actually the fact that I need to root into the phrase progress, not perfection. It's where I over-deliver when it's completely unnecessary. It's social media scrolling. And it's also certain social relationships that I'm ready to let go of. So grab your journal and ask yourself, what do I need to let go of in order to thrive? And as you do, tune into that inner battery and set those intentions to let them go. And finally, connecting into grace, compassion, and gratitude. These are fundamentals of this rest journey. And I will tell you, this is because it's not an easy journey. The reality is we've been so conditioned to not put our needs and our needs for rest first, that actually we are used to dancing a dance with burnout. We are used to overstretching our energetic boundaries, to putting everybody else's needs before our own. So it takes heaps of grace and compassion as you walk this path, and gratitude can be a really powerful tool to help you to make that progress and take those steps forwards restfully. So firstly, let's start with grace and compassion. Imagine if a friend says to you, I'm beating myself up because I made all of these intentions and I've failed. I'm a failure. What have I done? you would give them so much grace and so much compassion and so much love. So if at any point in this journey to more rest, you look at your restful intentions, whether it's for those micro practices of rest that you can bring into every day, whether it's for the rest sanctuaries that you wanted to maybe create on an evening or a weekend or any other time of day, and you think, I've failed, I'm a failure, and you start beating yourself up, please stop and give yourself the grace and the compassion that you would give to your best friend, to a family member, to anybody else. Because the reality is, we need to reinforce these intentions. I know this for sure because I'm still on my journey to reduce down my social media scrolling. I'm also still observing, even though I teach a lot in my business about rest, I still overstretch my boundaries. I still have those moments where I go, what am I doing? And I snap back into my intentions and think, oh my goodness, I'm a mile off from my intention. How did I get here? That's okay. Because when we overstretch our boundaries, it gives us a lesson if we can be present with it. If we can sit with it and say, okay, I'm going to give myself grace and compassion here, but I'm also going to take this as a lesson of what I don't want to be doing or be expending my energy with going forwards. And from that point, we can set our intention. And finally, the gratitude part of it. Writing down your gratitudes each and every day and making sure that you have one or more rooted in your restful practices. What rest did you prioritize in any day? And I do this every single night. I have my gratitudes from the day. It's such a powerful mindset tool. It really, really supports you in moving forwards, in growing, in rooting into everything that is beautiful and joyful and that we should be grateful for each day. And when I root into my gratitudes, I always make sure that I honor myself, including on those busy days, including when I've overstretched my boundaries, to say, okay, but what did I do? Yes, I did a very short meditation in the morning and then took a few deep breaths when I popped outside for a few minutes on my lunch break. And I know that maybe that wasn't optimal, but actually it's something that should be celebrated and something that I'm very, very grateful for. So root into those gratitudes on the daily, as well as setting your rest intentions on the daily. And that combination of both of them really, really is that key to propel you forwards and to help to slowly bring in those new habits and new behaviors. So there we have it. These are my rest essentials that I wanted to share with you, with one final little reminder that actually we don't have to hustle and grind in order for this life to be at its most fulfilling. So much fulfillment is rooted in the simple, and I think we've lost sight of that. And actually, if you can root into those simple joys in life, be it your cup of tea, be it enjoying time with those who you love, fully present, be it taking a beautiful walk in nature, be it enjoying just a slow Sunday afternoon where you're just pottering around, cooking, or doodling in a sketchbook. All of these things are rooted in the simple, meaningful moments that really, truly matter. And as we close out, I am ending with my note to self, which I do at the end of every single episode, whether it's my own note to self or that of my guests. So today I have written this very much still to myself now, because I've moved forwards and transformed so much in the rest space. But I'm committed, as Tricia Hersey, who wrote the amazing book, Rest is Resistance, as she talks of, it's a lifelong journey because of our conditioning. So I've written, you are worthy of rest, and it is a right for us all, and a catalyst in the creation of a life where we thrive. So know that every moment you push pause to rest, even for just a few minutes, is when you say, I choose me. And every restful breath, shut eyes, or restful step forwards, even the teeny tiny ones, they will add up, they'll multiply, and they make all of the difference in this life. So wherever you are right now, I hope that you can take those steps to prioritize you and to prioritize your rest. And know this, Wherever you are in your journey, I'm sending you so much love. All of my gratitude to you for joining me for another Dead Conversation. Death on the Daily is edited by David Strutt. The music is Set Free by Katie Gray. And I am Tanya Wilkinson. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would be over the moon if you can rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps me to get the word out there. And if you want to say hi or to hear more about my work as a coach and death doula, including how I support my clients to navigate their death on the daily, then all of the ways that you can connect with me are in the show notes. I'll be back soon with some more Dead Conversations. And in the meantime, take good care of yourself and others.
There's a cold fire, there's a crossfire, and there's something